to remove the incentives that are acting like a magnet that are drawing these people into our state. That's all 187 does.
Right.
It doesn't monkey with immigration law. So it's time that we put a stop to it, that we reaffirm the sovereignty of the state of California, and we do what we know we have to do to spare and preserve and rescue the taxpayers in this state. I'm mad.
Who else would like to vent? God, I see a lot of us. I don't know if we can go with as many people. You know, how about you, Senator Duke? You have anything for us? Please introduce yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Charles Duke, state senator from the state of Colorado. And I'm very happy to be here today, Aaron, and I'm mad as well, like many of the people here.
Are you mad as well or mad as hell?
Mad as well. I'm mad about the loss of our Constitution, as you well know, and I'm mad about a $5 trillion debt, and just a number of things, not to mention the property seizure law that you've talked about tonight. That's really one of the many reasons that I carried the nation's first 10th Amendment resolution. And that resolution restores to the states the power that I believe rightfully belonged to them all along,
Absolutely.
but has been stolen from us by this rogue Congress. Now, that resolution had two parts. It said, first, the state of Colorado hereby claims sovereignty over all powers not otherwise enumerated and granted to the federal government by the United States Constitution. It's based on the 10th Amendment, which says the states have any power they wish to have, unless it's prohibited. The second part reminded the federal government that they're our agent, and it says that the federal government, as our agent, is hereby given notice and demand to cease and desist, effective immediately, mandates that are beyond the scope of the constitutionally delegated powers. Colorado wasn't asking the federal government for anything. We were telling them the way it is. Now, I was a little unprepared for what happened after I did that. I really kind of did it initially, not only to support the Constitution, but primarily for fun. Well, it really took off across the nation, and in fact, Senator Rogers sponsored STR 44 here in California, and that has passed as well. To date, we have 21 states that have passed that 10th Amendment resolution.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Now, some have said, where are you going with this, Charlie? What exactly are you trying to achieve? And I said, well, let's suppose we get 38 states to adopt the 10th Amendment resolution, and we call a meeting of those 38 states, and we draft some orders for Congress. And we hand it to the Congress, and we say, here are your orders. You are our agent. You have 90 days. And they'll say, or what? And we will say, or your services are terminated. And there will be new elections to replace you. Now, there are good things happening in our government, some of them at the state legislative level, even one at the national federal level. Because in Montana there was a bill, didn't pass, but I'm sure it'll be introduced again, to require any federal agent to register with the local sheriff.
Oh, great.
You might be very surprised to know that the Supreme Court has ruled on more than one occasion that the federal government has no police power.
Right.
So they can't go to the federal government for help there. In any case, I'll be introducing that in Colorado. And Senator Rogers has told me if I'll get the data to him, he'll introduce it for the state of California.
Yes.
There really is a revolution underway in this country. It's not the one Newt Gingrich thinks it is. It's in the minds of the people, and we are going to reclaim this government. I think the framers of our Constitution properly did understand what 1996 was about. The challenge for us is to understand what 1776 was about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's a remarkable friend of mine who I love dearly and who's given a lot of thought to the subjects we've been speaking about tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please, Rod Taylor.
I'm here to talk to you about the problem of slavery. It didn't end in the 1860s. It's a social malady that's with us today, and it's increasing in its scope and virulence. The desire to enslave our fellow man is unfortunately intrinsic to the human character. It has been with us since the beginning of time, on every continent and in virtually every culture, from ancient Egypt to Babylon to Greece and Rome, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the United States. Germany and Japan openly practiced widespread slavery only 50 years ago, and the Soviet Union until less than a decade ago. China even today. It's a disease of our human nature, and yet people are under the impression that it no longer exists. I say to you that in a subtle form it exists in America today, and it's becoming less subtle and more manifest. Madison Avenue has just cleaned it up a little bit, dressed it up in new words. The slave master is now Big Brother, someone to protect you, someone to confide in. But it's all the same. He owns your life. Now, this may sound far-fetched, but I think I can prove it. When the IRS allows you a tax deduction, they and their congressional collaborators and the media call it a tax subsidy. In other words, they designate it as a gift to you, a subsidy. The only way they could conceive this terminology is by presupposing that they, i.e. the government, own all the money. Their view is that they're entitled to it all. That which they allow you to keep is their compassionate and generous gift to you. How can this be? You create the money by your efforts, your sacrifice, your creativity, your risk-taking. So how can it belong to them? It's very simple. They own you. They own everything you produce, your money, your house, your thoughts and ideas, your children. If you go to a foreign country to work, you still have to pay the U.S. income tax. You could dig a hole in the middle of Siberia and they'd be entitled to a cut of your wages because in their minds, under their law, they own you. They create arcane and esoteric laws to criminalize you. You may try, but you can't obey them. You can't even understand them without a lot of professional help. You have to run around slavishly collecting little pieces of paper, receipts, 7 years of detailed financial records because you might be called on to give an account of yourself to the big boss man. And if you've made a mistake, he can take everything you have. He loves it that way. That's total power over you, slavery. I don't remember when we, the people, signed over ownership of ourselves. It just gradually happened by them taking more and more of our freedom. But here's the worst part. It's really only just begun. In this modern age, the information age, getting your money is not enough, even though money, don't let anyone deceive you, is the material source of your freedom. Now, however, they want your mind. If you deviate in your thinking, if you commit one of the 10,000 taboos, and they perceive your actions as a threat, they'll come out and kill you. It was the thought police who killed the children at Waco and Ruby Ridge. Neither David Koresh nor Randy Weaver, whatever things might be said about them, had ever mugged anyone, robbed a 7-Eleven, or committed forcible rape or murder. But they did have unorthodox views, and therefore it was necessary to round them up and deal with them. Whatever their crimes were, they could have been arrested and tried openly in a court of law. But that was not the aim of certain factions in the government. These statists wanted a massive demonstration of force to show who was boss. The penalty for resisting is death.